Good afternoon. Before moving on with the next topics of this unit, we will see a few short topics. So these are the topic names that I have mentioned over here. So first and foremost, we will see, before seeing block coding actually, these are the topics that we will be seeing right now. So the first topic is forward error correction versus retransmission. So basically, whenever we are talking about error correction, so our previous topic was error correction and error detection. So whenever we are talking about error correction, there are two methods. The first is the forward error correction. The second is the retransmission. Now, what is forward error correction? It is the process in which the receiver tries to guess the message by using redundant bits. So receiver itself corrects the message. Itself corrects the message. If there is an error in the data which is sent, then the receiver itself corrects the message by using redundant bits. So if you remember in the last class, I have talked about redundancy. Redundancy is basically adding extra bits to the message for either error detection or error correction. Now, this is the concept of forward error correction. So this forward error correction is used when there are small number of errors. Now the second is retransmission. Now what is retransmission? Correction by retransmission is a technique. So whenever we are talking about retransmission, so by the term itself, we can understand that the receiver detects the occurrence of an error and asks the sender to resend the message. So basically, the message is retransmitted. So receiver only detects in this case. Here in this case, receiver is correcting, but in this case, receiver detects the error and asks the sender. So sender sends the message again. Okay. Now, so correction by retransmission is in which resending is done basically, and resending is repeated until a message arrives. So we resend the message until the receiver believes that it has received the correct message. So this is the two error correction methods. Now the next is coding. So basically, redundancy or adding extra bits is achieved through various coding schemes. So we use different kind of code words or code schemes to add extra bits. So this is actually a technique for adding extra bits. Okay, so the sender adds redundant bits, or whenever I'm talking about the term redundant, it means extra. Okay, so the sender adds redundant bits through a process that creates a relationship between the redundant bits and the actual data bits. So the sender will add some extra bits and there will be a relation. Obviously, to understand what is the data and what is the code word, there needs to be an understanding, right? So that is done through the redundant bits, and receiver checks between the two sets of bits to detect or correct the errors, and then it extracts or generates the actual data. So the ratio of redundant bits to the data bits is very important. So basically, whenever we are talking about redundant bits and data bits, it is important that suppose if we have 2 bits of data and 3 bits of code word or 3 bits of extra bit. So whenever I'm talking about code now, that is also basically the redundant bits. So I'm using different terms for redundant bits. It's important to understand that I'm talking about the extra bits that is being added to the code. So the ratio of redundant bits to the data bits and the robustness of the process are very important in the coding scheme. Now, whenever the coding is actually of two types. One is the block coding and the other is the convolution coding. So in our syllabus, we will be studying in detail about the block coding. Convolution coding is actually more complex. So even in the syllabus and even in the textbook, it is not being given. So we will study in detail about this topic, which is block coding, which will be your next topic. So before we start block coding, we have to learn about another term, which is modular arithmetic. So for modular arithmetic, this is something actually we learn while doing programming, but let's see this once again. So yeah, modular arithmetic is basically when we use limited range of integers. In the case of modular arithmetic, we use limited range of integers. And how can we limit the range of integers? We define an upper limit called modulus. That is, it is defined by this capital N. If we have defined the modulus as suppose 12, then we will use the integers from 0 to 11. That is, whenever the limit is n, capital N, we will use the integers 0 to n minus 1. So this is the modulo n arithmetic. So if the modulus is 12, then we will be using the integers 0 to 11, both including 0 and 11. So inclusive of 0 and 11. So an example of this modular arithmetic is basically our clock system. So it is based on modulo 12 arithmetic. Here, instead of 0, we use 12. So basically we have numbers from 1 to 12. And in the modulo n system, if a number is greater than n, it is divided by n and the remainder is result. Okay. So if it is a negative, as many n's are added to make it positive. So basically, suppose if I'm saying it is 16 ORs, then what does that mean? 16 is divided by 12, which is equal to 4. Or we can even make subtract this. So 12 minus 16 is 4. Or we will make sure that the negative sign is removed. So now why this is important is modular arithmetic. In block coding, we will be using something known as modulo 2 arithmetic. So basically, we won't use this division and all. We will just be using the addition and subtraction. So let's see modulo 2 arithmetic. What is the concept of modulo 2 arithmetic? The modulo n value, capital N value is equal to 2. Now, if the capital N value is equal to 2, then we have the range of numbers from 0 to 1. That is basically 0 and 1. Now, operations, as I said, will be using only addition and subtraction. So adding and subtracting, I'll just mention it over here. So this is similar to what you do in binary, and here in fact we are using the XOR operations. So exclusive OR. So adding is 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 0 is also 1. 1 plus 1 is 0. Okay. Now the next is subtracting. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. And 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. So here basically we are using XOR operations for both addition and subtraction or exclusive OR. Okay, so in the case of XOR, if you remember, so I'm talking about XOR now over here. If two bits are same, then the result is 1. Sorry, if the result, if two bits are same, the result is 0. And if two bits are different, if two bits are different, the result is 1. So let's just see that 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 bits are same, the result is 0. Here also 2 bits are same. We'll just mark it with some other color. Yeah. So 2 bits are same, result is 0. In this case also 2 bits are same, result is 0. The same thing again. And now when 2 bits are different, So 2 bits are different. These are the cases. The result is 1. So we will be using the modulo 2 arithmetic. So this is very, very important. Modular and arithmetic was just for explanation. We will be using this concept in block coding. So now with this concluding this, we will proceed with the next topic. So the next topic is actually block coding. So what do you mean by block coding? So in the case of block coding, we divide our message into blocks. So suppose if we have a message of some number of bits, then that message is divided into blocks of k number of bits. Now that k can be anything. So the message can be divided into 2 bits or 3 bits or 4 bits. And this k number of bits is called as data words. This k bits is known by the term data word. Okay, so now to this k bits, we will add r number of bits. So r number of bits is added to each block to make the length n is equal to k plus r. Okay, so to each block, so if you remember, our message was divided into blocks. And what is the size of the block? The size of the block is k bits. Now to this k bits, we are adding r number of bits. Okay, so r number of bits are added. So n is equal to k plus r. Now the block size is total size of block is n. Block is n. Now this n bit block is called the code word. So n, now the total size is n, right? So the n bit block is known by the term code word. Okay, so we have two concepts to be remembered. The first is the k bit block, which is the original message is divided into blocks and it is of k bits, and that is called as a data word. Then we add r number of bits. R is the redundant bits or extra bits which is added, and now the block becomes of size n. N is equal to k plus r, and that n bit block, n is the total size of the block, and it becomes known by the term code word. So now, how are we adding the r bits, or how are we calculating which r bits to be added? So that we will discuss next. But for now, it is important to know that we have a set of data words, each of size k. Okay, so our message is divided into k bit blocks, right? So each of size k, and we also have a set of code words, each of size n. So with k bits, we can create a combination of 2 power k data word. Suppose in this case, if we have 2 bits 0 and 1, then obviously how many combinations we get? We get 2 square, which is 4 combinations, right? And with n bits, suppose if we are adding one redundant bit, so here we have a 2 bit block and then we are adding one redundant bit. So the total n is becoming 3. So with 3, again we will have 2 power 3, which is 8 combinations, right? So we can have 8 code words if we have this. And always, if you should remember that n will be greater than k, right? Because we are adding something r to it. So n will be greater than k. So since n is greater than k, the number of possible code words is larger than the data words, right? So we will have more number of code words than the data words. So this block coding process is 1-to-1. That is, if we are encoding a data word with a code word, then the same should be used always. So in that case, we will have some. So here for this 4 data words, we need only 4 code words, right? So the rest of the 4 over here are remaining. So 2 power n minus 2 power k code words are not used. Okay, so these code words which are not used are known as invalid or illegal. Basically, the code words which are not used are known by invalid or illegal. Okay, so now this is an overview of your block coding, and the same we will see with the help of a diagram. but and I'll explain this again in detail step by step. So this is just to understand, or this is just to summarize your block coding. Now, next we will begin with the So in block coding, we divide our message into blocks, each of k bits called data words, and we add our redundant bits, or as I said, whenever you see the term redundant, remember it with extra bits to each block to make the length n is equal to k plus r. So this n bit block is now called as a code word. Okay. Now the next is the structure of your encoder and decoder. So before that, I will just make sure, yeah. So suppose if we have a message, in that if I am making blocks of k bits, so this will be the k bits block. How many ever k bits block we can create depending on the size of the message. How many data words will we have? We will have 2 power k data words, as I give an example for the same. And 2 power k data words, each of k bits. Now next we will have if now this is your message. To that I am adding the redundant bits and making it a n bit block. So this is of n bits. Now in this, each block will be of n bits. So how many code words will we have? We will have 2 power n code words, each of n bits. Okay, and in this only, whenever we are talking, how many of them are valid? 2 power n minus 2 power k are valid, and n should be always greater than k. That is the condition. Now we will see the structure of the encoder and the decoder. So over here, the sender will have k bits of data word. So he will have data word of block k bits, and this is encoding process. The generator will generate a code which will be of r. We are adding redundant bits, and the total will be n bits code word. And now there is an unreliable transmission. So this code word of n bits is received, and there have been some errors. So in that case, the receiver will have something known as a checker. Checker will discard the code word which has been added and extract the data word which is of k bits. So to detect or correct the errors, we need to send some kind of redundant bits. Now, in this case, we have an example over here. The 4B, 5B block coding discussed is a good example of this type of coding. So basically, in this coding scheme, k is 4. So this is the k value. So this is not valid. K is equal to 4 and n is equal to 5. Now, when k is equal to 4, how many data words will we have? We will have 2 power k, which is 16 data words. And how many code words we will have? We will have 2 power n, which is 32 code words. Now, out of that, we know that 2 power n minus 2 power k are invalid or not used. So 16 out of the 32 code words are used for message transfer, and the rest are used for either other purposes or unused. Okay. Now, before that, how can errors be detected by using block coding? So, yeah. So to detect errors using block coding, if the following two conditions are met, the receiver can detect a change in the original code. So there should be two conditions which should be true for detection of errors in block coding. So in this case, the first is the receiver has a list of valid code words. So receiver has or he should be able to find, or it should be able to find. The receiver has or can find a list of valid code words, and secondly, the original code word has changed to an invalid one. So whenever the receiver wants to detect the errors by using block coding, the two conditions should be true. That is, the receiver should have a list of the valid code words, and the original code word, obviously, whenever we are talking about the code word, it should change to some other, then only it can detect the errors, right? If it is being transmitted correctly, then obviously there will not be any error. So first, the original receiver has to have a list of valid code words. So suppose if we have this 2 power n minus 2 power k valid ones, so the receiver should have this list, and also that original one should be changed to an invalid one. Then only the receiver will be able to check the or detect the errors in the data transmitted. Now, in this case, so in the same diagram actually, how is the error detected is basically the sender. I'll just change one thing in this diagram. So the sender is encoding k bits of data word, generating a code and adding the code word, and there is an unreliable transmission. Now in this case, the code word, which is n bits, is checked by the checker and discarded, and the correct one is extracted. So this is the detection process. Now the sender creates code words out of the data word by using a generator, which this generator, what it does, it applies the rules and the procedure of encoding. Now, whatever procedure is being used for encoding techniques, that is applied, and each code word is sent to the receiver, which it may change due to the unreliable transmission. If the received code word is seen as the valid one, then obviously it will be accepted and the data is correct. However, then the data is correct and that data is extracted. Okay. Now, if the received code word is not valid, it is discarded. Now, however, if the code word is corrupted during the transmission, but the received word still matches a valid code word, so the error remains undetected. Now, what am I talking about over here? So suppose in the case of here, we'll see actually it in the next example, but suppose we have 2 power n minus 2 power k valid code words, right? Now in that valid code words, let's give an example, 100 011 000. All of these are valid code words. Okay. Now over here, if the receiver is receiving, if the sender is sending this code word, okay, and the receiver is receiving this one, okay, then in this case, the receiver still thinks that it has received the correct data. So this type of coding is when 2 or more errors are occurring, then the error may remain undetected. So this type of coding can only detect single errors. All right. So now we will see actually whatever I'm talking about in practical. So here we have a table where the k value is given as 2 and n value is given as 3. So the data word is of 2 bits and the code word is of 3 bits. So now whenever we have 2 bits of data, 0 and 1, then these are the combinations that we have been studying from first year, right? 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. Now, in the case of code words, when n is equal to 3, you will have actually 2 power 3, 8 combinations. That is, it will be an octal system. Now, from those 8 combinations, we want to use only 4. Okay, so we want to use only 4. So we will be using these 4 code words. So for 0, 0, we will be adding another 0. For 0, 1, we will be adding a 1. 1, 0, we will be adding a 1. Then for 1, 1, we will be adding a 0. Okay. So basically, these are the code words that you are adding. Okay, so here the redundant bit is 1. So n is equal to k plus r, n is 2 plus 1, which is 3, right? So we are adding one redundant or one extra bit in our data. Now, so assume that the sender encodes the data word 01 as 011 and it is sending it to the receiver. Now, we are sending 01, we code it as 011. I'm talking about this case. Okay. So if 011 is received, no problem, right? The data is correct, it is extracted and received by the receiver. Now, instead of 011, what if we receive 001? Okay. If we are receiving 001, then obviously the receiver needs to have a list of these code words, or it will have to find the list of the code words, and it will see if 001 is received. Is it in my code words? No, it is not in the code words. So it will detect the error, the checker step. So here, if you remember, there is a checkered step. It will detect that there is an error. Okay, and it will detect the error. Now, so this is the case of 001 is received. Now, instead of that 011, we are receiving all zeros. So here we are receiving all zeros. Now, although we have sent 011, the receiver is receiving, so sender is sending 011, the receiver is receiving all zeros. Okay. In that case, we know that error has occurred, but obviously the receiver will check in the code word. It will see that it has 000. So we know that error has occurred, but it has not been detected. So the code word is corrupted during the transmission and 000 is received. So the two right bits, so instead of 1 we have received two zeros, and the right two bits are corrupted, right? So even though the right two bits are corrupted, the receiver thinks that it is a valid code word, and the receiver incorrectly extracts the data 00. So it is receiving the data 00. So two corrupted bits have made the error undetectable. So this kind of errors are not detected, or it is undetectable. So this is what I was talking in the previous slide. So an error detecting code can only detect the types of errors for which it is designed. So here it is designed for only a single bit of errors. Other types of errors may remain undetected. Okay, so this is for the error detection. Now we will be talking about error correction. So before we see the error correction, again I will give a brief overview further. So in the last class, as I have said, error detection is easier and error correction is more difficult. Okay, so error correction is difficult when compared to error detection, right? So when we are comparing, error detection is easier and error correction is difficult. So in error detection, the receiver needs to know if the received code word is valid or not. Okay. So in this case, the answer is either yes, it is detected, or no, it has not been detected. In the error correction, the receiver needs to guess the original message or original word, code word sent, guess the original code word sent. So we can say that we need more redundant bits for error correction than for error detection. So for error correction, more redundant bits are required. Again, when compared to this error detection. So here in block coding, we will see the error correction, how error correction is done in block coding. But I'm saying once again that error correction is more complex. So idea is same, that is error correction and detection idea is same, but this error correction is more complex when compared to error detection. Now, here in the diagram, the same diagram. Yeah. Yeah. So in the same diagram, the sender is encoding. So k bit data word is generated. It is added by the generator, and the code word is then generated, and it is then sent through a unreliable transmission. That is basically we are saying that an error will occur. Now, whenever we are saying that an error will occur, the code word is received by the receiver. The checker here, so we are talking about correction in this case. So checker will not discard, it will not extract, it will basically, it needs to correct. So the checker will need to correct the data word. So this is not there in your error correction. The checker will correct. So instead of extracting, it will correct and it will give the data word of k bits. So now here we will see the example with the same. So in the previous example, we have added only one redundant bit. So here we had two data words and we were adding r is equal to 1. Now we will add more redundant bits and see if the receiver can correct an error without knowing what was actually sent. Okay, so we have the data word of 2 bits. So k is equal to 2 and we have our code word of 5 bits. So r is equal to 3. So n is equal to k plus r, n is equal to 5. So our code word is of 5 bits. Okay. Now, how we are choosing the code word, we will see that later. For now, let us see what is the error correction. So data word, suppose we are sending is 1, 0, 1. Now in this case, the sender will check the table and it will say that we have to send the code word 01011. Okay. So the code word is corrupted now. So there is some kind of unreliable transmission and there is an error. So first the receiver finds that the code word is not in the table. So when it is sent, then if we assume one bit was an error, we can correct. So basically, how we were checking for one bit error, correction detection in the previous example, here also if there is one bit corrupted, then it uses the strategy. Then it uses this strategy to correct. So what does it do? First and foremost, it will compare the received code with the first code word in the table. So we are sending this. We are actually sending this, but if the error is occurring and it is transmitted as 01001, so now it will compare this with the first one, that is all zeros. So the receiver here decides that the first code word is not the one because there are two different words. So now we are comparing our error when the error occurs and the error code word. So we are comparing these two, 01001. Now when it compares these two, it will see that there are two bits which are different. So it will say, okay, this is not my code word. Now the same thing we are comparing with this one and over here also. So here also these three are different actually, and in this case also 111. So these three are different. So whenever 3 bits more, that is there are 2 bits different or 3 bits different, so then it will say that this cannot be my code word. The original code word must be this one because here only one bit is different, that is the fourth bit. So the original code word must be this second one because the only one that differs from the received code word is by 1 bit. So the receiver, what it does is it replaces this incorrect message with the correct message and it gets the data word which is 01. So basically whenever there is only 1 bit error, we can correct it by using this error correction. So it uses the receiver assumes that only 1 bit is corrected and it uses the block coding technique to detect the error. Okay, so this is for the error correction. Now the next topic is Hamming distance. So basically this Hamming distance is the concept for error control. So this the error control technique uses the concept of Hamming distance. The Hamming distance is basically between two words of the same size, the number of differences between the corresponding bits. So if we have two messages, message 1 and message 2, then between these, the number of differences between the, suppose if we have 0, 1, 0 and 0, 1, 1, then how many different bits are there, or how many different corresponding bits are there? So 0 matches, 1 was there, and 0, and here instead of 0 we have 1. So here this is the concept of Hamming distance, that is how many number of different bits are there between the corresponding bits. Now corresponding means at position 1, this is the bit, at position 1, this is the bit. Then at position 2, we have a 1 here, at position 2, we also have a 1 here. At position 3, there is a difference. So that is the concept of corresponding bits. And we usually use the, suppose if the message 1 is given by X and message 2 is given by Y, then the Hamming distance is given by D of X comma Y. So the Hamming distance can be easily found if we apply the XOR operation. Okay. So whenever we apply the XOR operation on the two words and count the number of ones. So basically, first apply XOR operation. Second, when we get the result, on the result, count the number of ones. Or in the result, count the number of ones. So that number of ones will be the Hamming distance. So this number of ones is the Hamming distance. And Hamming distance is the value of this is always greater than 0. Okay, so the value is always greater than 0. Now we will see the topic in a bit of detail. So the Hamming distance between two words is the number of difference s between corresponding bits. So for this, suppose if we want to find the Hamming distance between two pairs of words. So the Hamming distance b of 0, 0, 0 and 0, 1, 1. So for that, we will apply the XOR operation. So if the two bits are different, we will get a 1. In this case, also a 1. And in this case, we will get a 0. So this is the result of XOR operation. In this result, count the number of ones. We have 1 and 2. So basically, we have 2 ones. So the Hamming distance is 2. Okay. Now in this case, what is the Hamming distance? We have 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and then 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Now, here the result of XOR operation will be 1, 0 will be 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1 is 0, 0, 1 is 1, 1, 1 is 0. So we got 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. How many ones? 1, 2, 3. So there are 3 ones, so the Hamming distance is 3. So with this, I will conclude the lecture for today.